Hey, what's up guys? My name is Sky and in this video I'm gonna give you a quick simple overview of how to use widgets, what they are. So let's begin with what are widgets. Widgets or widget blueprints as they are called in Unreal Engine. They are called widget blueprints, however almost everyone calls them just widgets because it's shorter. So what are widgets? Widgets are UI elements, whether they are small like a piece of text that could be just one word, or of whole inventories, whole menus, etc. They are still called widgets, they are still UI elements. I already said UI a couple of times, so what is even UI? Well, you probably know that UI stands for user interface. But what is user interface on its own? Well, it's basically an interface between the user and the game. The way I would always explain this is think about like you playing an RPG game. You kill a boss and a sword drops. That looks really cool, but you don't know how much damage it does. Is it actually better than the sword you already have? Well, most commonly you would loot the sword and then go look into your inventory to check the tooltip and see, oh, it does X amount of damage. That is interacting with the interface. However, if the sword instead was on some kind of an altar or something, and there was a note next to it saying, oh, this does X amount of damage, that wouldn't be actually user interface because it's in the word. So think of user interface as a medium between the game and the player that gives you information without actually affecting the word itself. I know it might sound a bit confusing, especially when you are hearing about it for the first time, but you don't have to think about it too hard. Effectively, it all boils down into experience, and once we get into more working with UIs, you're gonna quickly learn how to differentiate these things, so just don't think about it too hard for now. So with that covered, how do we create a widget in Unreal Engine 5? It's quite simple. We go into content browser, we right click, and all the way down under the user interface we have widget blueprint. So when we click on this, you're gonna see that unlike actual blueprints, we have only user widget here, whereas in blueprints we have many different types like actor. So in the user widget, this is one that's gonna be the most common for you to use. So I'm just gonna click on the user widget. I'm gonna call this WB underscore HUD. So what does this name mean? Well, WB is a prefix that I use and that you should adopt as well, or some similar prefix, because it's gonna make it way easier for you to organize your project, especially when you are working on a larger project. So with that created, I'm just gonna open this and we are in the what's called designer of widget. So there is a big difference between Unreal Engine 4 and 5 because we don't have canvas panel as a baseline in Unreal Engine 5. So if you are using Unreal Engine 4, your screen will look a little bit different. But I'm gonna add canvas panel to it anyway. So under palette, I'm gonna search for canvas panel and just drag that in. So what is canvas panel? Canvas panel is basically a representation of player's screen. This is the whole screen that player will see, no matter if they are playing on a PC on a monitor, or on a TV, or on a phone, or something else. And this is good to use for HUDs and other stuff that will cover large portions of the screen because, well, you want to make sure that half of your HUD isn't out of the screen and player can see it. So with that dragged in, let's talk about some other types of widgets you're going to be working with. And I want to mention particularly three. If we go into the common ones, the three that you're going to be working the most with in the future, because those are the most basic and common ones, is button, image, progress bar, and text. I don't think I need to explain what text is because it's literally text. Button, again, it's quite self-explanatory. You push it, it does something. The only thing about button is if we drag it here, we can go into graph. And now we can, in the variables, we are going to see the button. And we can create an event here on clicked, press, released, hovered, unhovered. This is good to know because when you, basically this is where you code it. So if I click on plus here, I created on-clicked event, so now I can just put any code I want here. So later on in some video when we are going to be creating like a main menu or something, this is how you create buttons for the main menu. So I'm just going to delete this and go over to the image. Image, again, super self-explanatory. It's basically just a texture or possibly even material actually, and it is also just regular images. But you also use images in other ways, like for example, putting like kind of see-through gray or dark color fade over the player's screen when they die, for example. Also very useful for that. Progress bar. Now progress bar, it's kind of hard to explain, so I'm just gonna show you. I'm gonna put the progress bar into the canvas panel, extend it, and now if I go down here in the percentage, I can just drag it all the way to 100% or lower. This is basically what progress bar does. It takes a value you put into it, you can just bind it to the percentage. So if let's say you are an RPG character, you have 100 max health and you are currently on 50, well, you can do very simple math like we did actually a couple of videos ago with the simple health system. We can bind this to display that yes, your health bar should be at half because you are at half health. It's also used for experience bars, health bars, mana bars, all kinds of stuff. You can also of course change it, so from left to right to left, that way it's gonna go this way when I change the percentage, from top down, etc. There's a lot of different stuff you can do with this. You can animate them, you can create your custom bars, but again, I'm not gonna get too much into it because that's way too advanced for the purpose of this video, which is just to give beginner overview to this. So I'm just gonna delete this. And I'm gonna teach you basically how to create a very simple crosshair, just using the image to showcase kind of how this works. So I'm gonna drag an image here and I want to anchor it. And anchors are, well, anchors on the screen. So if we click on this, you can see that you can anchor the image or button or any UI element on the screen at some point. So we have all these 9 basic points, then we have the one that anchors it on top, this one anchors it on the full screen. For the purpose of this, I just want to anchor it at the middle. And then I'm going to change the position, I'm going to reset it on both to 0. But as you can see, it's not in the middle exactly, it's a bit to the right. This is because we don't have alignment. So under alignment, if we set this to 0.5 on both of these, it's going to be exactly in the middle. And we also want to check size to content. This will make it to where the size of the widget in the widget element, in this case the image, is going to be sized to the content. So for example, if we put a texture in it that's 250 by 250, the image will automatically resize to that texture. And then we're going to go in the appearance, image size, and I'm going to change this to, let's say, 20 on 2. This will give us this simple small line here. And then I'm gonna just click it in a hierarchy and duplicate this. And then I'm gonna reverse it and I'm gonna change this to on 20. And now we just have this simple cross in the middle, exactly actually in the middle of our screen, which means we have successfully made a simple crosshair. So I'm gonna compile this and show you how to actually display this, because if I hit play, you're gonna see that there is no crosshair on the screen. This is because even though we created a widget, we haven't actually told through code, hey, display this. So for that, I'm going to go in my third-person character. And the easiest way to display HUD, for example, is through begin play event. So I'm going to drag from begin play and search for create widget node. This is how you create and spawn the widget. And here you can just select the HUD, compile, and now when I hit play, it still doesn't show. Well, that's because we created the widget, but we didn't tell through the code to the game, hey, show this actually on the screen. For that, we need to drag from the return value and search for add to viewport. Now, when we compile this and we hit play, now you can see we have exactly in the middle of screen our crosshair. But what if we want to change this? What if we want to remove it? So for that, I'm gonna just create tab keyboard event to keep bind it to something, so we can actually see it. And then I'm gonna go into return value. I'm gonna drag from here, search for remove from parent. You're gonna use this node whenever you want to remove some widget from the viewport. So I'm gonna plug it into press, compile. You don't have to follow along with this, of course. This is just so that I demonstrate how it works. And now when we are in the game, you can see that we have the widget in the middle of the screen. I press tab and it removes it because we remove it from parent. So that about covers it for this video. Like I said, it's a really simple overview of the basics so that you are aware of what we are going to be doing in the next couple of videos. One of the next videos I'll be making is also focused on widgets and improving third-person camera. So we are going to go over these basics again. So yeah, hope you found this helpful and see ya.